Welcome back to the channel. This video has taken a long time to get working, so I really do hope you guys enjoy this one. It's going to be mainly for people that have more storage on their device. So whether you have an eGPU dock with a external SSD through Thunderbolt or Ocklink, you also may have a handheld with 4 terabytes of storage in it. 1 terabyte is going to be pretty tight. So we can definitely do it, and it will function 500 in a dual boot. It's just going to be a little bit harder. You're going to have to be more selective with what you install, but that is more than okay. So we're going to go ahead and get into this. The first thing that you're going to need is a flash drive. So go ahead and plug that into your device. And then we're going to go over here to Ventoy download. The first option here is going to be download.ventoy. We're going to click on that and then the Ventoy 1116 Windows zip. Once this page loads, we're going to click on the green button here for Ventoy Windows. And then we're going to wait 5 seconds and this file is going to download. So we're going to go ahead and open this up. And I've already done this, so let me go ahead and just remove that. We're going to go ahead and extract all. And then we will have this here. I'm going to go ahead and just move that to my downloads folder, just so we have one folder we're inside of. We're not going to open this up yet. We can go ahead and minimize that, close out of here. We're going to go to CachyOS download. It will work with Bazite and it will work with SteamOS. I'm not sure. Like the console commands and things are going to be a little bit different, but I'll solve any issues you would normally have with Cachy anyways. So just follow me. This is going to be the easiest way to do it. We're going to go to download handheld edition and then click on direct. I do have this file downloaded already, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of that. And then Windows 11 ISO is what we're going to search for next. You'll see software download. We'll click on Windows 11. Then all the way at the bottom, you'll see download Windows 11 disk image. So we're going to come into this box and select Windows 11. And then we're going to click on download. Once that loads, we're going to pick our language. So I'm going to go English US for you. Pick whatever you would like. And then we're going to click on confirm here. Once that is done, we have the option for the 64-bit download, and then you can go ahead and click on that. I'll just let it run in the background while we go through this. So we're going to pull our Ventoy folder up again and then run the Ventoy 2disk exe. Once that pulls up, we are going to, you'll see your flash drive. It should auto-populate. If you have not plugged the flash drive in yet, go ahead and do that and click on this little refresh here. It'll detect it. For me, I already have my drive formatted. For you, it'll be empty here and you'll have an install button somewhere around the middle. Go ahead and just click on that install button. What that's going to do is it's going to format your flash drive to have a Ventoy D drive. You're also going to have a Vtoy EFI E drive, and we want to go into the D drive. We're going to go ahead and open up another another file browser tab here, and then we're going to go to downloads. You can see my unconfirmed download. We're going to pull these both back up. And then you can see I have the CachyOS handheld Linux file. All you're going to want to do is copy that into the Ventoy D drive. And then we're going to do the same thing with the Windows install. I have both of them in there already, so I'm canceling out of both of those, but go ahead and transfer those in. Once that is done, we should be able to now boot into Linux. So I'm going to go ahead and go to here. We're going to go to restart, and then you're going to try to get into your BIOS. The easiest way to do that is, again, I'm docked right now in order to have the capture card running, but you're going to want to plug a keyboard in and pretty much spam escape, F2, delete, F8, F12, Any of those keys should get you into BIOS, or well, any one of those should get you into BIOS. Uh, Normally, it's going to be your escape F2 or delete, but you probably already know what key is going to bring you into BIOS. Okay, so it brought us into BIOS. So one thing is my BIOS will be sideways for the whole video, but we're not going to be in here too much, so don't worry about that. We're going to go ahead and make sure our boot option 1 is the PNY USB 2.0. Well, for you it may be different. That's just my flash drive name. Make sure your flash drive is boot option 1, I guess is the way I should have said that. And then we're going to save changes and exit. Once you are in Ventoy, you're going to see we have this nice little GUI. We're going to go ahead and click on the CachyOS Handheld Linux ISO, and then we're going to boot in normal mode. That's going to pull us to grub, and then we're going to go ahead and just click on enter. If you click on nothing, it will go automatically. And then on the screen, you should see some commands pulling up. Uh, don't worry about this. Windows essentially kind of does the same thing. You just don't get to see it. You will see it here on a Linux Live installation. We do have about a full minute here to wait. So I'm going to go ahead and cut to when this is done. All right, so that finished up and it has gone ahead and started running some more commands here. We should be booting into our Linux Live installation here pretty soon. It does take just a second with a black screen, so don't worry, it will boot you in. And we are now actually loading in here. So I have set this up for a second display, so we are good to go there. I'm also going to go ahead and click on launch installer and then minimize, just because it is hopefully going to pull up the install log once I minimize. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and maximize this. We do have the auto detect for language and things like that. So American English, click next. America and New York is at least my time zone, so I'm going to click next. And then English US and default. Again, click next. We want Limine, so we're going to click next. Here is one of the first kind of important parts of the video. Because Windows is so frustrating to shrink partitions, you may be able to go to your partition manager in Windows and shrink your drive. If you have any type of external SSD, like I do with my eGPU dock, I pretty much want my full drive on the handheld itself to be CachyOS. If you have a 4 terabyte or a 2 terabyte internal SSD, you want it about 50-50. If you're at a terabyte, again, you pretty much want it around 50-50. It just depends on how many things you're going to want to run in Windows versus in SteamOS, CachyOS, but Gamescope mode. So that's really going to depend on what you want to do. If you want the best outcome, a 1 terabyte internal and also an external SSD in your eGPU dock, you're going to want to erase this completely. That's going to give us the best time at resizing the Windows installation later. For anybody else, you can probably go ahead and do install alongside and do about 50% of your drive. For me, I'm going to do replace. Nobody really should be doing this unless you've already created a partition for this. But if you're following my guide, I'm sure you haven't yet. So again, if you have an external SSD, we're going to erase disk. And then if you have a internal SSD and you want it to be 50-50, we're going to install alongside. So pardon me going replace a partition, but I already have one done. So we're going to go ahead and hit Plasma, hit next, and then we want Plasma Desktop. So we're going to hit next again. And all of these options here, we're going to go ahead and again click on next. You can actually click on the accessibility tools if you want them. And then for the username, it doesn't really matter. So just put in whatever you want, and then make sure you're going to remember this password because we're going to need sudo commands, and you want it to be the same password for the admin account. Go ahead and click next. It's going to give you a summary of what's going on. I actually just installed this before making this video, so I'm going to cancel, but for you, you're going to come down here and click on install. It's going to take about 10 to 15 minutes to run that installation, and then it's going to ask you to reboot. Once you reboot, it's going to pull you into Limine. So I'm going to boot to Limine really quick, and then I'll show you how to get into Cachy and get everything set up. All right, here we are in Limine. So it's going to automatically try to pull you into CachyOS. I don't even think that this is going to pull up, but I'm going to go ahead and pull us into CachyOS. And you're going to want to unplug from the dock. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now and then switch my screen over. All right, so once you boot into Cachy, as you can see that I've got mine here, it's going to be upside down. So one thing that you'll notice is, again, well, upside down. That's not going to be an issue for too long. We are actually going to get that fixed. All you're going to want to do is make it through the setup here. So once you are signed into Steam, what you're going to want to do, again, yeah, we're still upside down. Just go ahead and tap through, get through these menus, go to menu, power, and then switch to desktop. And then you can go ahead and plug your device back into the dock, get your HDMI cable in, and then we should be good to go to get that display fixed. If your display is already doing okay and it's not upside down, go ahead and skip this part. I'll put a little timestamp in there just for you. But for anybody that has it upside down, like I know a lot of people do with Cachy, we're going to go ahead and fix that. So let me fix my displays really quick. So we're going to come down here to our file browser. Then we're going to go into the root folder, and then we're going to search for Gamescope-session. This search is going to allow us to find the location for the Gamescope-session file. So in order to get to this, we're going to pull up Konsole. We're going to go to Kate, and then user lib, and then Steam OS Gamescope-session. Again, sorry about that. We didn't actually need that at all. I'm going to go ahead and zoom this in just to make it a little bit easier for you to read. We're actually going to go to the very bottom of this file, and we're going to go and do 2 dashes. Yeah, 2 dashes, force dash orientation space left, and then we're going to do a backslash. Go ahead and save that. It's going to ask for your password. That's why I thought we could sudo, but we can't. And then go ahead and enter that password. Now that that's done, your like Gamescope, like SteamOS, when you boot into Cachy, it's going to be fixed now. So we're going to go ahead and close out of all of that. And then give me 1 second. Let me get my file up that we're going to need in order to actually install the boot manager. And I'll go over the partitions really quick if you want to edit them as well. All right, here we are with the gparted and refind installation. So what we're going to do here is not quick settings. We're actually going to go to Konsole, and then I'll blow this up for you. We're going to do sudo pacman -syu, capital S, and then gparted. It will probably ask you to say yes twice. For me, it's probably just going to say once. I do already have this installed. And then next thing you're going to want to do is sudo gparted. and that's going to go ahead and pull up gparted. So if you want to resize your partition at all, you can go ahead and do that. Say you messed it up a little bit, you want to actually fix it before doing a Windows installation, you can go ahead and do that here. So the same way that we got into Ventoy to do the CachyOS installation, if you need to re-download Windows, go ahead and do that now. You're going to boot into BIOS and then make sure your flash drive is selected, and then go through with that Windows installation in order to get however much you want on that Windows installation, whether it's 100 gigs like I have for this one, or if it's going to be 50% of your drive for your 4 terabyte, so you're 2 and 2. Go ahead and make sure you have the dual boot setup done. Make sure you have both OSs. And then what you're going to want to do after that is come in here. I have my handy dandy little file here that we're going to zoom in. I'm going to resize this so it doesn't conflict. And then I've got all the steps. So what we're going to do first is sudo su dash, and it may ask for your password. Since we just did we just had to enter our password to do sudo pacman and install gparted. It may not. Once you're in here, we're going to run these commands. So I'll have all of this in the description. The first one is going to be pacman as refind, and then load in our boot manager. We're going to go yes. And then I think we may have to do yes again. No, we don't. Okay, so once that one is done, we're going to come down here and generate our secure boot keys. So we're going to do refind install with local keys, and then we're going to force that to yes. And then that's going to be installation completed successfully. We're going to go ahead and type in exit to get out of the sudo, and then we're going to git clone shim-signed. Then we need to cd into that directory, and then we need to make the package. It's gonna probably ask for our password. It does. Go ahead and enter that in. Maybe enter it correctly, and then it's going to ask you if you want to proceed. We're going to say yes. Now that that's done, we want to go back into sudo, and then we're going to run the refind install, and we're going to make sure that we use our local keys that we just set up. We're going to say yes. We're going to say yes again, and then installation completed successfully. The next thing that we're going to want to do is sign those keys. So we're going to copy this command, paste that in, and then signing unsigned original image. So that's perfect. And the next thing is we're going to grab this command to pull up our partitions. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. We're going to be grabbing, we need the UUID, which is this right here. We're going to need the UUID for our Linux file, or Linux partition, which is the BTRFS type that we have here. So this is going to be the one that you'll grab. Your UUID is probably going to be different than mine. This is mine, and I do have that in my commands for later. Actually, it's wrong, so I'm going to go ahead and replace that. And then it should still be copied, so I should be able to do it again here. So this is exactly what you're going to need to do. I'm going to have this in there. So where it says your UUID here, you're going to go ahead and replace it with yours. So now that that is done, what we're going to do is actually run this command to get into our Linux config file for refind. And we're just going to hit left on the arrow keys and then just hold delete down. We're going to get rid of this entire file. So it's going to take just a second for these commands to all get deleted. All right. So now that that's done, we are going to copy all of this and paste that in. And I'm just going to stretch that out. That is not correct. So I need to try that again. Actually, that does somewhat look correct, but I'm just going to go ahead and backspace this whole thing. It definitely was correct, but I'm going to go ahead and do that just because it looked a little funny for me. It's actually never pulled up on that side before. I'm going to actually full screen this just so we can see it a little bit better. All right, and then paste. So here's the full command. That's what you want. We're going to go ahead and Control O and then enter and then Control X to close out of that file. And let me go ahead and resize that. And then once we do that, we just want to verify that we can see refind in our boot manager. For me and for you, hopefully you're going to see 3 of them. You want to see refind underscore x64. You want to see grub x64. And then you want to see the refind shim x64. You want all of those. Yeah, I know you. There's 3 of them in there. Don't worry about that. That is what we want. Once that is done, we are now able to go in and enroll our key that we just signed for Linux, and then we should be able to enable secure boot. So let's go ahead and close out of our console, and I'm going to go ahead and restart now, and then I did make changes, so I'm going to go ahead and save that. Hopefully it boots us straight into refind. That would be the goal. We're going to be hopefully seeing that in just a few seconds. And there we go. So we're now in refind. What we're going to do is we're going to start the mock utility. We're going to go ahead and press any key, and then we're going to enroll key from disk. Go ahead and select the top one. We're going to go to EFI/. Then we're going to go to refind. We're going to go to keys. And then we are going to enroll our refind local SIR, not the CRT. We're doing the CER. And then continue. And then enroll the keys. We're going to say yes. And then reboot. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to reboot to computer setup utility, which is going to boot us into BIOS. Once we are in BIOS, which should be any second now, we're going to go to security. We're going to turn secure boot on, and then we're going to go back to save configuration and exit. Should pull us straight back into the refind directory or the refind boot manager. And then we're going to test that secure boot is working. So we're going to go into Windows first, and let's go down to the search bar, system information. And then as you can see here, we now have secure boot on. Beautiful. So we're now going to go to restart. All right, so we made it into refind. We're going to go ahead and boot into CachyOS. All right, once you are in the desktop mode, you shouldn't have any issues. You should see, everything pull up like normal. I'm going to go ahead and unplug, so it's going to disappear. And then I just want to go ahead and show you that indeed everything is pulling up correctly. So device is in the right orientation. We can go left and right. That's going to be perfect. So the change we made earlier did indeed work. I know that's a struggle point for a lot of people with Cachy. Any second now, we should be pulling back up in the capture card. We're going to go to switch to desktop. Now that we've confirmed that that secure boot is working, we're going to go ahead and edit the config file for the refines so that we can get touch, the touch screen working in refind. And then I'll show you a couple settings that you're able to tweak if you want to. So for me, we're going to go ahead and close all of this out. You're going to open up your Dolphin, and then you want to go to your root folder. You're going to click on boot and then act as a administrator. It's going to ask for your password. We're going to type that in. We're going to go to EFI, and then we're going to go to refind. It's going to take a second to load, and then we should see our refind.conf. We're going to go ahead and open with, in the search bar up top, we'll type in Kate. Go ahead and open Kate. If it doesn't pop up, it may be down here in the bottom. Open up the lock. It's asking for your password. It may do that twice. So go ahead and type it in twice. And then you can pull up your Kate from the toolbar. So you can change your timeout. The fact, what this is going to do is essentially, it's a 20-second timer before it boots into the last booted boot. I know that sounds a little confusing, but say you boot into Cachy, and then you turn the device off, turn it back on. It'll sit in refind for 20 seconds and then automatically select Cachy to boot into. So we can change this. I'm going to change this down to 10 seconds because 10 is enough to decide if you want to tap something else. And then most of this we're going to leave off. We're looking for resolution next. So we can see that here. We are going to do resolution, and you're going to do your display resolution. So for me, that is 1920 by 1200. So we're going to type that in there. We're going to hit enter and up arrows and type in enable touch underneath of the hashtag enable touch. For enable mouse, we're going to do the same thing. Type in enable underscore mouse. And then mouse speed, this is a big one. We're going to do mouse underscore speed, and we're going to do 32. We're going to max that out. It's going to make it feel a lot better when you're actually in that menu. And then everything else here should be fine. We shouldn't actually have to do anything else. Doing the resolution should fix any, refine looking sideways. There's a whole lot more in here you can look through if you want to experiment. Would I recommend it? Probably not really, but you can if you want. We're going to go ahead and click on save, and you can see all those changes went in green, and maybe a little hard for you to see there, but they did go green. So we should be good to go with our dual boot setup, and we have touch functionality now. So with all of that done, we're going to go ahead and boot back into Windows, and I'm going to set up the eGPU for you. All right. I just want to do a quick note. When you do your resolution, I did this backwards. You actually, like for my display, I know it's 1920 by 1200. It does actually want 1200 by 1920. So don't ask why. I'm not sure, but that is what it wants. So go ahead and make sure you fix that. I'm going to go ahead and put a, when I say it the first time, I'll note that actually in the video. I'll just throw some text up on the screen. But I wanted to do this, voiceover, or I guess cut back part of the video just to, clarify that so that you don't make the mistake and then hear this about 5 seconds later. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get into the eGPU now. Sorry about that. All right, guys, so we're here in Windows, so we just need to go ahead and log in. One thing that we will need to do is make sure our eGPU is working, right? So I can't exactly help you with that, but get it plugged in. You should see in Device Manager everything show up. We should get display out to a monitor. As long as all of that is working for you, we should be good to go to continue. I have already done the setup, so mine's working, but yeah, let's go ahead and work on that. So we're going to go to, for me, it's AMD drivers. If you have a NVIDIA GPU, we're going to go to NVIDIA drivers. And then you can grab the, say, let's just say 5070 Ti. That's all laptop, Windows 11. That's going to go ahead and allow us to search. And here we go. So there is the NVIDIA drivers for AMD. We're going to come in here, not do that one. We're going to search for, right now I have a 5700 XT in here. Nope. 5700 XT. And then we're going to search. And then you can download your drivers here. I also already have these. So I'm going to cancel that. Now that you have your graphics card drivers, we're going to come in here. We're going to go to our downloads, and then we're going to run this installer. I've already done this, so I'm going to click no. You click yes and wait for that to finish, and then come back to this part of the video. So no, and then I'm now going to go to my device manager, and I need to do this really quick. Whoops. Sneak peek on what we're going to be doing. So you should see the AMD Radeon RX 5700 XT. You should also see your internal graphics. For me, also AMD. So we have something kind of important to go over really quick. So right now we have, and I'm going to go back to the brush. We have the AMD eGPU. Sorry, that looks horrible. Then we have the eGPU. And then again, same goes for both of these. Right, these are both our eGPU cards. However, we have this set up. Actually, sorry about that. I'm wrong here. This is going to be also an iGPU. So iGPU. Okay, so now that we have all that done, we can do a little bit of drawing here. I'm going to come over and this is CPU for both. We are going to be getting right now internal drivers. They're going to be going back and forth between the CPU and the iGPU. And since we have installed the 5700 XT, it's also going to be going to the eGPU. And we're going to end up in games, anything that actually, really running these drivers outside of Windows, you're going to see some issues appear, right? Where the game wants to either run the internal, it wants to run the external, but the performance is horrible. Like you are going to get driver conflictions a lot with AMD CPU, iGPU, and eGPU. It's just going to cause some problems. So if you have AMD CPU with Intel eGPU, we should be okay. Realistically, you're not going to get, you still will have some confliction with iGPU drivers on AMD and eGPU drivers on NVIDIA. Like you still are gonna get a couple problems here and there, but they're not gonna be fighting. Like it's gonna either pick the iGPU or it's gonna pick the eGPU. So you shouldn't run into as many issues. Whereas like we're all AMD, it just causes problems up top here. So same thing essentially applies for If we are on Intel, and I went right over, if we're on Intel for the internal graphics and CPU, and then we also reach out to a AMD eGPU, very similar setup to AMD and NVIDIA. It should be fine. Like it should just work. And then again, same thing going to NVIDIA down here. So as I know this looks confusing, our biggest crossroads is going to be people who are fully AMD here in the top. So to get around these AMD issues, and if you would prefer, you can choose to if you want, just to resolve any issues you could possibly see with NVIDIA. What we're going to do is we're going to, I'm not going to save that, that's really ugly. We're going to come into Device Manager, and since we have our drivers installed, everything's done here. The easiest thing to do is just disable your driver for your display adapter for the internal display. Super simple. That's it. That's all you have to do. That is going to resolve most of your issues. Now, you may think that you're not going to be able to actually boot into Windows with the eGPU unplugged. That is incorrect. Like the screen may be frozen if I do it here because I'm not actually booting in, but I will show you. Like if I go over here and unplug, and no, it does work. So even on my handheld here, which 1 second, let me turn this light on. That should help a little bit with being able to see it. Yeah, you can see that I can actually like click on things here. So it will still function. You can go to your display settings and mess around with those to get it working and get that running correctly. So you're not going to lose the ability to boot into Windows. However, they are your iGPU is going to be disabled. That adapter is not going to be running. So we should be coming back here. I did plug in here in just a moment. Monitor is back on, and there we go. So that is going to resolve, I would say, 90% of your problems that you're going to have with an eGPU. Is just coming in here and actually disabling your internal graphics adapter. So now you may occasionally have something come up where it gets a little fussy, but if we just go into graphic settings, you'll have games in here. For me, I don't have Steam installed. My drive is formatted correctly. Like I've got all my games and stuff, but nothing's appearing in here. I haven't actually opened anything on this fresh install. So the best thing I can do is show you here on RDP. If you go into high performance, and like you may have to come into graphics like I'm doing right now and set it to high performance or whatever you would like to do. You can see here we have the Microsoft Basic Render driver for when we're unplugged. So you're not going to do anything really essentially when it's unplugged from the eGPU, but when you are plugged in, we are going to have the ability to go high performance and 5700 XT. It should do this automatically. I wish I had some games in here to test, but I'm not going to spend the time to go do that. I've already wasted probably 40 minutes of your time. This is going to be a long video, so yeah, this is going to be the full setup. I really hope you guys do enjoy this. I actually had a blast making this video. It's taken me about 2.5 days to actually record and get all of this done just because there's so much that actually goes into this and making a tutorial where all you have to do is just copy my commands essentially is uh, harder than I thought it would be. So again, I think I said it towards the beginning of the video. If you've made it this far, please drop a like for me because this took a lot of time, a lot of effort for me, and I would really appreciate it. So in the comments, if you have any issues with this, I've spent a lot of time going through. So if you run into any problems, just drop a comment and I'll see if I can get that fixed for you. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace, guys.